great panel. And also just wanted to say that we encourage collaboration. And I'm happy that Barry actually mentioned that between the zkEVM rollups. Now we leave Brendan and Vitalik in this panel. We bring in Hudson, who's going to moderate the next panel. There you are. I just wanted to give a little parenthesis here that I wanted to thank the auditors that were in the previous panel, and to also remind people that we have already published all the audit results, and we have them available in our repository. So encouraging people to come and take a look at those audit results. And this panel, I think it's probably one of my favorite ones. We're talking about evolving the zk stack, but more on the ethos side, the Web3. And here, I wish I could be part of this panel. Open source development, decentralization, all the stuff that we love and we keep here. So, Hudson, I leave you with your panel.
Thank you so much, Grace. Yes. So hi, everyone. I'm Hudson. I work at Polygon Labs, and generally I'm an Ethereum rascal on Twitter. Today we have a great set of panelists. So many of them have already been introduced, but I'll go through the people who haven't been introduced. So Mihailo, we know that guy. Vitalik has stopped working on his masternode to sneak into this call. We'll accept him. We got David. What's your story? Just like a sentence or two.
Thanks, Hudson. Well, I'm one of the co-founders of Polygon zkEVM, and I am basically leading the project and product side for a long time. So super excited about this launch. Absolutely.
Awesome. And Bobbin?
Yeah, hi. I'm lead of the Polygon mainnet project, which is another zk focused project within Polygon.
Wonderful. And Antoni?
Okay. Last but not least, my name is Antoni. I am also one of the co-founders of Polygon zkEVM. And in my case, I'm more focused on the operations and the design.
Gotcha. All right. This is going to be a really good panel because I looked over the questions and I made tweaks to make this more interesting a little bit. So let's get started with the first one. So Mihailo, earlier this year, the Polygon teams got together to align on a common product vision. That was just, I saw the post on Twitter where it showed everybody sitting at a table. Would you like to share the vision of us with the Polygon ZK vision and where we are in the journey and where we're striving to go, especially for the fact that, when I talk to people about Polygon, sometimes they're like, yeah, Polygon's that thing with all the chains. So let us know what's going on.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Hudson. It's a great one and very important one, of course. When we announced our strong commitment and strategic bet, if you will, on ZK roughly a year and a half ago, we were very much aware of the fact that this is number one, this is very early stage of this industry. And number two, we're trying to build something which is highly complex, which has never built before. And we didn't want to be opinionated from the beginning. Hence why we joined hands with all these great people. And we have, until this very day, 3 formally independent teams, Polygon Zero, Polygon Hermes, and Polygon Maiden, working under this wider Polygon umbrella, if you will. We have never regretted this choice, actually the opposite, like the plurality, differences in ideas, in approaches, in technologies, primitives that these teams have been using and have expertise in, has significantly contributed to this milestone that we are shipping today. And it made Polygon zkEVM much more performant and enabled us to ship it years basically before people expected. So this approach has one negative side, probably, is that some people are confused in the wider community, right? Like, why does Polygon has these 3 approaches? What's going on here? But realistically and practically, this is one very strong, very coherent team with just different expertise and different approaches. But the team has been working very, very strong together, and it has been a pleasure really participating in the process. That being said, the vision of Polygon when it comes to ZK is to establish this infinitely scalable, secure computational layer built on top of Ethereum. So there will be a multitude of chains. There will be even application-specific chains like supernets that are part of our product suite, if you will. So the thing is, these all chains should be observed one day and should be tightly coupled, seamlessly interconnected to form one single, infinitely scalable, secure computation layer on top of Polygon. And that is our vision with zk, and we're, I think, progressing pretty well on that part. Now we already delivered basically Polygon zkEVM. We are working on other interesting technologies to expand Ethereum beyond just scalability. And we actually have the first formal proposal or implementation to interconnect all these chains. That's something that we call the L1 bridge that should actually enable exactly what I mentioned, turning these chains into one single execution layer on top of Ethereum. So yeah, hopefully this is helpful.
Absolutely. Great answer. So David, this one is about open source. So open source has always been a priority at Polygon. I've seen that the last few years as I've been an advisor and now an employee. So when you all shared the zkEVM repos last July at EthCC, how is that an important step, and where are we today with open source? And just to add a little bit of spiciness, what's been the hardest part of that? Because I swear, every time I get into a discussion about open source licenses, there's like 30 to choose from. So basically, where have we been? Where are we now? And why did we choose this kind? What is it hard?
Yeah, thanks. Well, yes, it's a very hot topic, to be honest, because there's, this kind of tension between making this as a contribution and becoming, some project that's creating value for the whole community. In fact, ourselves as a project, we have been benefiting a lot from other teams' innovation and contributions. So we feel it's fair for us also to provide this to the community. In fact, the discussion about licensing is the second topic, which is do we do this permissive license or we do GPL? Because in the end, we want to make sure that all this effort we did is useful for everyone. We can just provide this source code as something where a community can just innovate, iterate, develop, and we will be very happy if the innovations of other teams will be also available for the future and for other contributions on other projects. So for us, it's the decision on license was to just provide GPL as the proper GPL. Let's say the main components of the zkEVM, you will find them in the repositories today with Affero GPL version 3. But there are other tooling, like the just explained, these tools to create this parameterization, the PIL, all these languages are and a permissive license, MIT Apache 2. So anyone can just use these tools to build anything with a different, no commitment on license, and to the application they prefer more convenient, even if it's for private uses. So we want to, do this contribution. This is, we feel very, very proud and very happy to finalize the project. But the second one is to, do this openness of the contribution we did so far. And we will continue working like that because, as Jordi was saying, this is only the beginning of the project. So we'll continue in the open and in this open source license contribution. Get me to Hudson.
Yeah.
Wow. Can I do this every time I do a presentation? Okay, anyways, thank you for that. And hello, Vitalik. The next question is to you. So like you mentioned earlier about stage one of kind of a roll-up strategy in your brain, and to progressively kind of give up centralization, control, other mechanisms that might, stop the progression of a roll-up from being as powerful as it could be in the hands of the users. So is there anything that like a lot of the ecosystem is minimizing or overlooking when it comes to this process, the transparency involved? Any hot takes that like everyone's going to disagree with you on how to do it?
I mean, I feel like everyone agrees in theory. The bigger bottleneck is like in practice, right? Like it feels to me like everyone is on board with the idea that like, well, of course, rollups should ultimately, have proof systems that have teeth and be secured by them and move away from relying on multi-sigs and all of this stuff. But like in practice, there are a lot of projects that claim to be very close to that, but are actually much further away from that. And some like there's different like degrees of I guess egregiousness of this sort of thing, and there's different degrees of like well-intentionedness versus just like actually never having the intention of decentralizing at all. And I think the bigger thing is to kind of just like standardize and sort of like lay down the rules a bit, so that some projects don't really have as much of an opportunity to kind of wiggle out and try to claim that they're like basically decentralized when they're actually not, and also make sure that the projects that have done a good job of that are properly getting credit on that.
Gotcha. That makes a lot of sense. So what you mean is like basically practice what you preach, and if you're not doing that, there should be pressure applied, basically.
Yeah, I think that's a good way to summarize. Like I haven't really seen big divergences in what people preach. I'm only seeing divergences in what people practice.
Gotcha. Interesting. Thank you for that. All right. So Brendan and Bobbin, y'all are both going to take this. We'll go with Brendan first, and then Bobbin can also add their thoughts or other takes. So as we celebrate the launch of the zkEVM on Polygon, the Polygon ZK team is asserting leadership in the space, and with their open source ideals and safe execution. How are your respective projects within Polygon positioning for this, and how are they embracing open source, and the ideal vision of decentralization overall in the ecosystem? Where are we going?
Yeah, sure. I can start. So I work on the Zero team. We sort of have a dual mandate, which is to work on proof system R&D. So we built Plonky 2 and Starkey, and incorporated a lot of those optimizations and advancements in the zkEVM. And then we're also working on zkEVM stuff that we can maybe talk about in more detail in a couple of weeks. But I think for us, open source and decentralization is really important. I think that like one of the most rewarding things that we can contribute to the Ethereum community, to the crypto community, is the concept of public goods that are freely and like permissionlessly usable by everyone. And so for us, like it was really important to release our proving system optimizations under a really permissive MIT Apache license. And so I think that those decisions like varied depending on whether we're talking about like a full productionized system like a zkEVM versus sort of like an underlying proving system library. But I mean, for us, like decentralization and open source are like both core values and super important.
Oh yeah, Bobbin.
Yeah, I would basically echo the same thing. I'm like a big believer in open source. In fact, like Polygon Mining project right now is under MIT license, like where it was under MIT license from day one. And then as Brendan said, there's like different considerations for something that is more kind of productionized versus something that is being a bit more experimental. But I do think there's a great benefit. Like if you open it up to the community, you get a lot of feedback. You get people like looking through the code base and all that stuff. So it's good. Like it's good on both ends, in my opinion. You let people use it, but you also get benefit of people using it and finding bugs and fixing and contributing back to you. So like I think like for me personally, like working on their MIT license, like that's what I've been doing for the last 3 years, and I don't think I published anything that under any other license. And in terms of like mining specifically, so as I mentioned, it's another zk project. I think the way we're thinking about it is that one of the nice things about L2 is that this is where you can innovate, and we're trying to explore other design approaches to the space. I think zkEVM is a super important and like the crucial piece to have, but we also want to explore other state models that maybe better support privacy, better support local proof generation and things like that. So that is what we're exploring with MIDA at this point.
Awesome. Great answer. I would also say, like, with this push for open source, and I might get to this a little later with people if we have extra time, the thought of collaboration comes to mind, which is kind of an antithetical thought to how L2s are working nowadays. But before we get into that, I want to make sure that I get Antoni here because there's a question on Polygon ID. A lot of people don't know about Polygon ID, I feel like, just because it's been being worked on and a lot of the other, there's like a ton of different ideas on ID. So what do you think about how Polygon ID upholds the Web3 ethos and the self-sovereignty ethos that a lot of the Web3 and Ethereum projects share? And can you add more details on how this is being achieved in light of, the work that you've done with Polygon ID? And I guess like a 2-sentence intro to Polygon ID would be nice too.
Okay, thanks, Hudson. Yes, I mean, how Jordi, David, and myself, we started our project with what was we Ident 3. And then at a certain moment, we saw that in order to vote, we needed to scale. And it's when Jordi started to thought on Hermes and how to scale on top of Ethereum. Then, yes, for us, and we have seen in countries where there is some problems with democracy, how important it is to have self-sovereign identity and the ownership of your data, and the fact that nobody can censor you and you can be always on the safe side and managing your keys. Then in our case, today is the day of zkEVM, but we have a lot of hopes on Polygon ID. That's our next big project, and we are very focused, and we have a lot of hopes on that. And the idea is that it should be the entry door to Web3 through your identity. That through that you can manage all your keys, and you are able to access any kind of app or any kind of any service that you require, but always ensuring this privacy level that the zero knowledge proofs are able to provide.
Awesome. Thank you. I was going to add another question on that. So is there plans or current designs for like a mobile interface or something that just really kills it on the user experience? Because that's like the number one thing I hear about when it comes to a lot of these like ID solutions, all-in-one wallets, like things like that. So there's already a fragmented ecosystem. What is Polygon ID going to do to make it very accessible to users and non-fragmented?
Yeah, here, I mean, you're totally right, and the Polygon ID team is working very hard on the shadows, let's say, in a rogue mode. Then now in July, we will see a lot of new features, and then also by the end of the year, we should almost have the full stack or the major part of the new improvements. And yes, this mobile aspect is something that we are working on. And yes, the idea is that in the next month it should be announced.
Awesome. That's great to hear. I'm definitely looking forward to it. So I've run out of my prepared questions. So what I'm going to do is this. We're all going to take some time to do some closing thoughts. You can spend a couple minutes. It could be whatever you want. I'm not here to restrict you. This is a free space. So we'll go ahead and start with, let's start with David.
Well, I have open thoughts, but I would like to see that this solution of zkEVM becomes, the first solution for developers, because they understand what's behind this trust model that Vitalik was referring to. In the end, we were, targeting projects to extend the decentralization, the security of Ethereum. It was not about centralizing again in layer 2. It needs to be clear path towards decentralization. Needs to be a clear strategy. We need to be transparent and verifiable. This is what we're trying to do with our model, not only open sourcing, but also being transparent in all these aspects. So users, developers understand and know what's the plan in our side, what's the kind of network they are just betting on. It's not only about equivalence or features or this kind of things. It's about, for me, respecting the ethos of Web3 in terms of decentralization and trust model. So next thing we will do is enable this forced transaction, this forced batch, because initially we have a single sequencer, but shortly after that we will have this forced batches. Then we will target decentralization of proof generation, and then we will target decentralization of sequencing. why we address this improvement in security, this bug bounties, this maturity we want to achieve. But from the inception, we have these protocols and these ideas in mind. So we are making technical decisions that enable us to decentralize in the midterm.
Awesome. Great thoughts. I'll go ahead and give my 30 seconds of things. I think that the tech stuff at Polygon is amazing. One thing that I personally want to kind of get out as a message this year, and one of the reasons why I joined Polygon Labs is that, a lot of the stuff we're building in L2, scalability, privacy stuff, etc., is not a zero-sum game. As the founders of Polygon said from the first week it launched, there is no silver bullet to scaling. And I think the future holds that there will be a lot of different solutions. So a lot of the things we've seen both from Polygon and other teams that kind of go back and forth with friendly debates and then getting more heated debates, I think a lot of that is going to change this year so that Polygon, besides getting known for the deepest, most interesting, and most well-built tech, also has kind of they're the nice ones. They come in and help when, another chain is having problems, or, going and being on stage with other chains and being more collaborative and other ways on panels, maybe sharing research designs. Either way, how it ends up doesn't really matter, just that there is a new vibe this year. 2023 is like a new Polygon vibe, and I really believe in that. Next up, we're going to have Antoni.
Well, in my case, I don't want also to repeat what David was saying, no, but I remember that when Jordi came to us, and one of why I left my previous work and I decided to join him is because the idea also to help the environment, no, in that case, and how we could create a better world with decentralization, being censorship resistant, all this kind of quality. So then I feel that this is another step in that direction. Okay, we are not yet there. Obviously, I'm not going to be so late. There is a long journey still, but today we are closing a cycle of 3 years almost when everything started, when Jordi came up with the first brilliant idea. And I'm really proud of what we have done, knowing that we are not yet at the end of the road. No, then for me today is exciting. It's a day to enjoy, and yes, it's one day where I think we are one step closer to this idea that we have of a better world, of a better society. I think we are in the right direction.
Excellent words. Bobbin?
Yeah, I would say I actually like your idea, Hudson, about this kind of we're in this Web3 space, we're all in this together. We need to collaborate with each other. This is I think we want to lead by example in this as much as possible, and where we are collaborating, our tech can be used in other places and things like that. I think all of the Web3 space benefits from it, and in my mind, this is a very important thing to achieve and strive forward. So this is we want to build this and scale and provide privacy and all of that stuff, but we also want to preserve the Web3 ethos of collaboration and kind of collegiality and all that stuff. So this is, for me, this is a very important thing, and I hope we can achieve it.
Awesome. Vitalik, what about you?
I mean, I'm just happy to see zkEVMs becoming real, I'm happy to see, Ethereum layer 2 scaling becoming fully real, and not just something that's kind of theoretical and there's these backdoors that you're not supposed to talk about. But so, it's a big improvement, and I think over the next 6 to 12 months, we're probably going to see even more big improvements on the horizon as both other layer 2s step up and get to stage 1, and Polygon's own implementation continues to improve over time, and at the same time we get EIB 4844 greatly increasing the amount of data space on chain, and rollups hopefully moving quickly to take advantage of that. So I'm excited to see all of those things happen, and excited to really get to the point where we can start to call scaling a solved problem for Ethereum.
Wonderful. Brendan?
Yeah, I don't have too much to add. I would just say that the thing that I'm really struck by right now is just how far we've come. And like Vitalik was saying, like this was all theoretical. Like 3 years ago, no one thought that this would be possible. And, 2 years ago, the narrative was like, oh, like we'll never have general computation, zk rollups. And then it was, oh, like maybe we could get to EVM compatibility, but like never EVM equivalence. And it's funny because when we joined Polygon and we talked with Jordi about building an EVM equivalent zkEVM, we were sort of like, well, like, good luck with that. Like, I mean, we're not so sure. And so I would just say like full credit to Jordi and the team. This is like an amazing, astonishing accomplishment. And yeah, I think it just like opens up this huge space of possibility for what we can do in crypto. And I think the next year is going to be like incredibly exciting.
Completely agree. And last but not least, Mihailo, I think we got like exactly a minute and a half left. Go for it.
Thank you, Hudson, so much. I will abuse the opportunity to say two things instead of one. Number one, I completely want to echo what you just said and that idea for Polygon 2023, which is more open, more helpful towards even other projects, including competitors, because as we all said, we're in this all in this together. We have been heads down building and really passionate about what we do, and we tend sometimes to be a little bit self-focused or a little bit closer than we should be, right? But that's only because we are heads down building, and sometimes maybe we get even a little bit defensive, maybe even on Twitter or whatever, because when you're passionate and you're really trying to do something the right way, and then there are some doubts about that, then you tend to get sometimes a little bit defensive. But we should completely, hopefully, change that in this year and really fully promote this ethos of collaboration and openness and being supportive to other projects as much as possible as well. That's one thing. And the second thing, I would just like to zoom out just for a second and maybe revisit, why are we doing all of this? Is this just a bunch of nerds, just trying to ship some cool tech? And why are we doing all of this? And just to Antoni's point that he mentioned, for me personally, this incredible idea of establishing this global network of value is absolutely mind-blowing. So with the internet, we have been able in these past decades to establish this global network of information and democratize access to information, right, and knowledge. So 20 years ago, it was impossible to imagine that today anyone with a mobile phone and internet access can attend an MIT course, learn to code, improve themselves and all of that. But many of these people don't have the opportunity to monetize now that knowledge or those skills or their talents. And that's why we need this global network of value, basically. We need this global permissionless economy that we're trying to build, and this human coordination. And I'm sure it can, I strongly believe, as all the people here, that it can transform really our society in very profound and positive ways. So I'm very happy that today we have just one step closer to that grand idea. So yeah, that's
excellent words. So thank you so much. We are right on time. So I'm going to see if Grace wanted to come back in for anything closing, or if we just say so long. Oh, you're muted, Grace. Doing the same thing?
I muted.
Yes. So excited. I forget to unmute. So thank you so much. This panel was exactly what I expected. I am so happy that we have emphasized the importance of the ethos that we live by in Web3, and more importantly, how do we embrace them in Polygon. So thank you so much for sharing that.